Good morning. I'm Mary Winters, a gerontologist with About Senior Solutions, and you're watching Visionary Aging. We're going to have a really fun show. We have a great guest, Herbie J. Pilato. Known Herbie, we were just talking this morning, probably about 8 years now, and he's going to talk a lot about, or we're going to share a little bit about the books that he's written and some of the interesting background that he experienced and why he's kind of the person that he is now. So grab your coffee or tea. I have my tea with me, and sit down and enjoy, and we'll hang out for about a half an hour together. We have a little sip here, and I'm going to share a little bit about Senior Solutions, some of the things that we do in our planning, and I want to make sure that you understand how important it is that when we put our plans together, it's about looking at your wishes, how to keep you safe, and your finances. And when we look at all of those little pieces together, then we can put a plan together for you, something that can last a lifetime. And we want you to live your best life ever. I also have a really great, I don't think we were able to pull her picture up, but I think it's worth sharing. We have this lovely lady, Miley Margaret Davis, who turned 100 yesterday. She is pretty local to us. She lives in Riverside, and she had a beautiful birthday yesterday with about 100 cards and a celebration. The city council was there, and her family was representing her. The fire department showed up, the police department. I mean, come on, she's 100 years old. Of course, she deserves to have some major celebration. And she sounds like she grew up in Riverside. She was there her whole life. She and her husband were very active in the NAACP of Riverside in that chapter. And she has a beautiful family. One of the things that she really loves are flowers and brain puzzle books. And she still loves reading her Bible every day. So happy birthday, Miley. Hope you have a fantastic birthday month, birthday year. You deserve it. And we look forward to seeing you turn 101. Today, we have Herbie J. Pilato on with us. And I am going to introduce him here. Let's see, our program wants to do some funny little things here, wants to keep jumping around and doing some odd stuff. So let me see if I can find him here. All right, we're back. And I'm going to bring in Herbie. Herbie, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I hope you have me back in 50 years for my 100th.
Oh, wouldn't that be great to do a little reunion show when we're both 100? Yeah. So tell me, you have been an author, and you have your own show. We've talked about some of the books that you've written, but I want you to share off the cuff the most important thing that got you to where you are now.
Well, I mean, it's funny how things work. You just live your life and you have your aspirations and you want this and you want that. And then you look back and you realize that maybe the things that you didn't get really kind of were good because it led you to other things. So the way I look at it is everything I've done in my life has led me to this moment. But certainly one of the most important aspects of my life was serving as a primary caregiver for both of my parents in their elderly years. Both my mom and my dad came from very large families, and we had a big, 10 brothers and sisters each. So every day was a party. So I had a wonderful childhood and upbringing. But I wanted to leave. I was born in Rochester, New York, and I wanted to come to Los Angeles to be an actor or whatever. And my parents never really had a lot of money or any of that, but they had a lot of love and they gave me a lot of guidance. And, whatever good is in me, I really feel it was placed there, through them. They were just beautiful people, and they guided me. And I served in serving for as a primary caregiver. I started doing a lot of charitable work, which led me to forming, my own nonprofit, the Classic TV Preservation Society. But it also allowed me to write, to focus on my writing, and I ended up ultimately writing 12 books, and then doing live events because of those books, and then the live events led to my show. So it's really helped because of my mom and dad in so many ways.
That's so great, and it's hard to be a caregiver in 13 years. That's amazing. It's very commendable, and I know
Thank
there were a lot of
you.
changes along the way, and I'm sure different resources and different issues that came up. And
It was, yes, it was one of the most memorable and important aspects, really, of my life. I remember, there was a time there was like, what am I doing? Here I am. What was I, 45? 40 years old, whatever. And I was like, geez, I got to take care of my parents. What's going on? What about my life? And it was just a startling moment, because every good thing that I did for them made me a better person. I was egotistical. I was very self-centered. Not as though I don't have a healthy ego today, as I always try to clarify. But I wasn't really focused on anything else except myself. And caring for my parents really helped me to open up, to the world, and to care about others, especially seniors. Love seniors so
I know,
much.
in fact, you had a program that you put together, and you've even performed or provided this service over at assisted livings too, correct?
Yes, over the years, well, what that started because, and the nonprofit really started too, because when I was living in the same apartment complex as my mom, I ended up being like the volunteer activities director for many of the seniors in her part. My part was more youth oriented, but I became the senior activity director because I wanted to give my mom, because all of her sisters and brothers in our family was either gone, dead, or moved on. So I tried to recreate a new family for her. And in doing that, I ended up, organizing parties and whatnot, and started showing TV shows, classic TV shows that seniors love, and talk about what those shows were about. And then I started doing that for other senior communities, and with something called Classic TV and Self-Esteem Seminars, where I would talk about the meaning of classic TV shows, and how many people became doctors because of Marcus Welby or Dr. Kildare, or many people became lawyers because of Perry Mason. And the seniors were responding to that. They were connecting with that. And then I took it also to businesses and schools and colleges, and expanded all of that. So
That's great. I love it. I love how you share, and I love your fire for this topic too. Share a little bit about you've written 12 books. Who was your first book about?
the first book was the Bewitched book, which was about the show. And I knew that in my heart at one point I would want to write a biography on Elizabeth Montgomery, the star of that show, and have it be a more expansive, exploration of her life beyond Bewitched. But I also did, the Kung Fu Book of Cain, Kung Fu Book of Wisdom, the Bionic Book, the Book of Life Goes On, which all had a running theme with Bewitched of prejudice. Um, Cain was an Asian, played by David Carradine, was an Asian in a Western world. Samantha was a witch in a mortal world. Steve and Jamie from the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, they were half machine, half human, and they felt different than others. Corky, God bless, Chris Burke, star of Life Goes On, and he had Down syndrome, still has Down syndrome, he's still here, God bless him. Chad Lowe played a character with AIDS. So very, prejudiced, cultural um, uh, points that I tried to make with these particular books, that I didn't want to write just trivia books. I wanted to write books about TV shows that meant something, that had a message. So the running theme of prejudice goes throughout all of my books. With Mary Tyler Moore, which is, the Mary Tyler Moore show is kind of with the 50th anniversary, I wanted to write a biography about her because she was so similar to Elizabeth Montgomery. They both had shows in the 60s with Dick Van Dyke Show for Mary, Bewitched, obviously, for Elizabeth. And then Mary did her own show, The Mary Tyler Moore Show. But they both had demanding fathers who did not want them to be a star. They both felt stereotyped by their TV shows. They both went on and did very different TV movies from their TV shows. So it's very similar. So I wanted to carry that theme of female empowerment from the 60s beyond.
And I think there's a 50th anniversary for
Yeah.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah, the 50th anniversary of the Mary Tyler Moore Show is September 19th. My book is about her entire life and career before, during, and after that show. And how she grew up and she wanted to be a movie star, a musical movie star. And when she grew up, or by the time she became an actress, they weren't making MGM musicals anymore. So she was disappointed with that and things like that. What's that?
Was she a singer?
She was a dancer. She really loved to dance. Yeah. She could not really, carry a tune all that great, but neither could Lucy, and Lucille Ball, always used to joke about that. But she was, everybody's, girl next door, and she was America's sweetheart.
Oh, she was.
But she had so many troubles and so many complications in her life. She never felt she was the best mom. Her dad or her own mom was an alcoholic. She ultimately was an alcoholic, which she admitted. She fought, diabetes. She was a terrific person who supported animal advocacy. She did, like I say, much for the Diabetes Foundation, Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. But she was unhappy, which was heartbreaking, because she made so many people happy, and she didn't know how to be happy herself. She had plastic surgery, which she admitted was way too much and damaging when you have that kind of surgery so much. And I'm all for looking the best you can look, believe me. I think that I encourage that. But when you take things to the nth degree, it's not good. When having diabetes and having constant surgery mixed in with the alcoholism was not a good mix.
Yeah, really hard to heal too. Yeah, really interesting. I didn't realize that she had so much plastic surgery. Was that really towards the end when she wasn't on TV much, or?
It started in 1985. She started having, several different teeth implants. And then by 1990-ish, she would have her cheekbones put in. And she lost those adorable little full cheeks that she had, that everybody loved. Everybody has flaws. Nobody's perfect. And by the time she left this world, she didn't look like the Mary Tyler Moore that we all loved. And that was detrimental, I think, to her career. I think if she would have just left herself alone, I really believe she would have still been here. I really do.
Yeah. Wow. That's terrible. You had a
But
very close.
she wasn't
positive about her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was a good person. It wasn't as though she was a bad person. She did, so, like I said, so much charitable work. She loved animals, and she was always good to her fans. Always good to her fans. If someone stopped her on the street for an autograph, she would sign it. And many times actors from the 60s or 70s, they felt stereotyped by their roles, as I mentioned. So for a long time, she didn't want to be associated with Laura Petrie from Dick Van Dyke or even Mary Richards. But once she realized that, an entire culture and several generations grew up with those people, she learned that we all loved her, and she was still loved. Both Elizabeth and Mary were still loved by millions for being Samantha and Laura and Mary. And at that point, Mary and Elizabeth just went, okay, I give up. I get you. You love me for those characters. And they came to peace with it.
Oh, that's great. You had a special relationship with one of the talents that you wrote a book about. Tell me who that was and share a little bit about her.
Yeah, that was definitely Elizabeth. We had 4 really great interview sessions that lasted at her house, and And meeting her was a big deal for me. You know, when you study and research someone and their work, you really feel like you've known them. So it took a long time for me to ultimately meet her. And when I did, it was just great because her husband, Bill Asher, her former husband, Bill Asher, who was a producer director on Bewitched, he's the one who paved the way for meeting her, for having me meet her, because she was very private, and he would tell her, you really got to talk with Herbie. He's really concerned with this entity known as Bewitched. And finally, excuse me, and finally, when we did meet, she goes, Bill never tells me that I got to talk to anybody, but he told me that I need to talk to you. And so when I went to meet her, put out my hand to say hi, and I trip over her coffee table.
When that would be something Dick Van Dyke would have done.
Yeah, it's true. I felt like Van Dyke, but it broke the ice, and she respected me because I respected her as a person. I talked to her, and I do that with everybody. I talk to everybody equally.
But you make me feel like a celebrity, Herbie.
Well, you know what? We're all celebrities in our own way. We all have that special talent. So yeah, it was just an amazing experience, and she was just as down to earth as could be. Her parents, were wealthy, very well to do. Robert Montgomery, movie star. Her mom was Elizabeth Allen, an actress from Broadway. Very well to do, high rollers of New York. And they made a point of making sure that they raised her as a down-to-earth person without any airs. And ultimately, she did that with her children as well. So what you saw on Bewitched is who she really was. That's sweet. And she brought that down-to-earth sensibility to Samantha, and she made Samantha likable. And she made you believe in witches because she made witches so likable.
Oh yeah, she just had so many great little the little feature or the little little things that she would
her little twitch.
Yeah, her little twitches. And I remember you said too the way she wiggled her nose was to wiggle her upper lip back and forth, right? I think
that's right. People think, oh, let me wiggle my nose. It's not wiggling your nose. You got to wiggle your upper lip, and the nose falls into place. And it was a natural tick kind of thing that she did. And when they were trying to come up with a way for Samantha to manipulate the magic, Bill Asher said to her the night before they filmed the pilot, what's that thing you do with your face when you get aggravated? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That thing you do. She goes, I don't know what you mean. And she got aggravated, and she did it naturally. He goes, that's it. That's the twitch.
Oh, that's great.
And the twitch was born.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, the first day I met you, you said, there's a little bit of characteristics in you that kind of remind me of Elizabeth. And I said, well, you really have known my mom. So I'm going to take the opportunity I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but here's my mom. She's holding me as a baby, actually. But doesn't my mom, she's such a pretty lady. She kind of reminds me of Elizabeth Montgomery.
Does. She looks like her.
Yeah. So
wow. Really so you're magical. Perfect. You had a magical mom. Perfect.
Oh, she is. She still is. She's
great. God bless her.
And great grandma and great grandma now too. She's a great grandma now.
So. Terrific.
Yeah. So tell me more about, you've had the Glamour Girls. You did things about Kung Fu, or your book was with the Kung Fu. You've really been quite a writer. I mean, you really are very prolific in your writing. Really took advantage of, what was it, once a year that you were writing a book when you were caring for your parents?
It seemed that way. I just felt that if I couldn't, ultimately have my own TV show, that I would write about others that did. And I mean, I always loved classic TV, in particular, the 60s TV, 70s TV. That was my era. So I wanted to celebrate them, and I didn't want to do it, though, in a hurtful, mean-spirited way, which so many, biographies or books about celebrities do. I wanted to tell the truth of who these people were, but to do so with dignity and respect, because nobody's perfect. We all have issues. We all have flaws. Right. But to to talk about those flaws and issues for the growth and development of, gosh, it sounds so kind of corny, but the growth and development of humanity. So yeah, so I did 2 books called Glamour, Gidgets, and the Girl Next Door, and Daring, Dashing, and Debonair, which cover all of the females and male stars, TV stars of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And the Dashing book, which covers the guys, has a foreword written by Adam West, Batman, the original Batman, the happy Batman before he became dark and dingy and depressing.
Yeah.
So yeah, those books pretty much cover all of the major female and male stars of the 60s and 70s, in addition to my other, focused TV books.
That's great. Yeah. In fact, the original Batman house is right here in Pasadena. So people who are locals here know where that house is.
Oh.
Little.
Well, I went to the Bat Cave. I finally went to visit the actual Bat Cave. It's in some park in Hollywood where they filmed the opening sequences or whatnot. I finally got there 50 years later. So that was cool. Yeah, but Adam West was awesome. Mary, so much of today's TV, and there's so much talent, but so much of today's TV is so dark and so dingy and so depressing. That's why I tried to make my show, then again with Herbie J. Pilato, very upbeat, which is now streaming on Amazon Prime and Amazon Prime UK, which I'm very excited about. But I wanted to celebrate these shows that, from a happier era. With Me TV Decades and Cozy TV and the Hallmark Channel and Antenna TV, all of these classic TV networks are so popular now because people of every age appreciate classic television and how they used to do TV shows with a beginning, middle, and end, and everything is brightly lit. And there's, happy endings. God forbid we have a happy ending on a TV show today or a movie. It's like they don't know how to do it anymore. It's like a bad thing. So
We need feel good now. We need Herbie J's books.
yes, thank you. We do. We need to be uplifted, and that's what I've tried to do with my books. That's what I try to do with my show. Not to dance around, topical issues. I still address issues with my show and in my books again, but to do so respectfully and not salaciously, which is what so much of talk shows and television have become, and movies. I mean, it's out of control.
It is out of control. It is out of control. So many outlets and so many just bombardments of whatever little tidbits people can throw in your face. And it is nice just to kind of cozy up to something enjoyable and laugh and remember. And I think that's why it's so important too for seniors. And honestly, I guess if you ask AARP, I'm a senior. And it's still fun to remember sitting on the couch with my grandmother watching Mary Tyler Moore and wanting to throw your hat up in the air when you saw her show come on, and just throw something in the air. My grandma would probably get mad if I threw something in the air, but but just those memories are sitting there remembering having lunch and sitting there with my mom and watching Samantha, and you wanted to be Tabitha when you were a little girl.
Well, it's something that you don't want to live in the past. It's not about living in the past, because we have to live to today and we have to move forward to the future. But you can take what you've learned from the past and you can cherish those memories, and it helps you to just function really with today. Your past is important. Your present is the most important, but your past is important as long as you learn from your mistakes, or you learn the lessons that you've been taught as a kid. Again, everything that I've done in my life, whether it's the writing or the caring for my parents or the TV shows or the live event, has led me to this moment. I am who I am. I am a better person, I think, because I cared for my parents. I am a better person because I watched happy TV shows that inspired me as a kid. It affected me, and I did something with it. I just didn't decide to be a collector or whatever and just collect things, which is fine too. But I did something productive with my obsession with classic TV, and that's why I wanted to share it, with the world in a positive way. I know it's very all Pollyanna or Pollyanno, whatever. I know, but it's how I feel.
No, it's
And
great, actually. And it's funny too because it does bring you back to a happy place. I remember coming in one day. This is years ago. My son was a teenager, and he was watching probably like a Disney program or something. I said, "What are you watching that for?" And he said, "I was watching the scariest movie, Mom, and I had to like readjust my brain and put something positive and happy on something that would, get my mind off of that." And I think, this is what today is. We need something that's happy and something that puts us in a mood where we feel good. And so I think the things that you're producing and the shows that you're doing are reminiscent of something happy. And yes, they are the past, but they are an opportunity to talk today with our friends and family and share where we were and how we would maybe want to duplicate some of those things that make us happy. And I think that's what's really important, is honing in on those things that make us feel good are so important right now.
today more than ever, Mary, I couldn't agree with you more. We certainly, of course, we have to address the real issues again in life. We can't ignore it. We can't put our head, in the sand and not look. But people are looking for heroes. People
Yep.
are looking for to be inspired. People are looking for smiles. All ages, from seniors, to kids more than ever. These poor kids of today, no school and the trauma of what this is all doing to them with, the challenges that we have. My heart breaks for them. So that's why I just try to be as uplifting as I can. Certainly on my Facebook posts, I ran into a colleague or someone who didn't know me at one of my live events, and they go, "Oh yeah, you're the guy that writes positive posts on Facebook all the time." I'm like, "Yeah." I don't mind being known for that, for being the positive guy. And
Yes.
it's not as though I don't have dark days or that I don't get angry or upset. Of course I do. I'm a human being. But when you're in the public eye, when you have a show or you're doing Facebook, you want to take the high road.
I agree.
And there's enough negativity in the world. There's enough negative posts. I don't do that. Herbie don't do that.
I know. I agree with you. I don't think you'll ever find something on my social media that's negative. So I
Good.
think it's so important. So important. Anything else that you want to share? Anything new popping up, or anything about why you do what you do? I know your parents were such an important part of that, and you always have these fantastic stories about um, making a difference.
Well,
Um,
there's one moment in my life that was kind of just so eye-opening. I had just moved, and one of the times I moved back and forth to LA and Rochester for my parents in several different ways and several different times. But one of the last times that I moved back to care for my mom, I moved into an apartment about in another side complex to hers. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm moving back to Rochester to care for my mother. What about my talent? I sing, I dance, I act, I write. What about all of that? And in those days, they were, still putting regular phones in the house. So the phone man came by to put in the phone. I never met the guy. Never met the guy. He says to me, what's wrong? I'm like, what? I did, who, me? I did one of those. He goes, yeah. He goes, looks like you're troubled. I said, so I told him that I was frustrated with that I couldn't live my life. My talents were going to be flustered. He says, you're talking about your talents of writing, singing, dancing, acting. He goes, those aren't your only talents. Those aren't your truest talents. He says, your truest talent is your compassion and your ability to communicate. He says, you're talking to me like you've known me my whole life. He says, do you know what a gift that is? To talk to somebody just the first time you meet them and to make them feel comfortable. Knocked me out. I never saw my ability to communicate as a talent. I never saw that as, I was always talking about the singing, the dance. So it was an amazing, eye-opening moment. Like, wow, my compassion is a gift. My kindness is a gift.
the phone man picked up on that. I
The
mean,
phone man.
what an angel, just to walk in and just you'll never see him again. Just these people that just walk into our lives and walk out, but just dump these, like, not dump, just set these amazing awarenesses up for
God
us.
had to send him, Mary, to me that day. That's all there's to it.
Very
Just
cool.
because it was just amazing.
That's very cool. Well, Herbie J. Pilati, how do people get a hold of you?
You can visit me on my website, herbiejpilato.com. You can order any of my books on amazon.com. If you want them personally signed, it's a little bit more expensive. So I would go right to Amazon and just order Mary, the Mary Tyler Moore Story there, Twitch Upon a Star. You can visit me on any of my Facebook pages, on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place.
I think that's so great. Well, come back again, share some more interesting stories and how the world is changing around us and bring us some more positivity. How's that?
Sounds wonderful. And everybody watch my show and feel free to write a review of Then Again with Herbie J. Pilato on Amazon Prime, or if this is seen in the UK somehow, on Amazon Prime UK.
All right. Thank you. Herbie J. Pilato. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
We'll
Mary.
see you again soon. Thanks.
See you later, everyone. Stay safe.
Thanks. Oh, great. I just love Herbie. So I really appreciate that he came on. If you have a guest or if you would also like to appear or share some inspiration with us, we'd love to have you on the program. In the meantime, I would love for you just to have a great weekend and take it easy. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.